Yeah. We're back. We're back on hour number 10 right now. So uh you know, we've got this started. We're going to be joining the Brainy Brunch right now for some networking. Please look in the comments of the last event. You got the link. Join us. There's so many people that can join with us. Let's have fun. Let's network. Let's talk together. Here we go. No, that one's not it. Do. Okay, Rock, we are live on the 22
Terrific.
hour podcast. The first question I would like to
She's over with her mother now. She's taking care of her mother, taking care of mom, just holding her hand and just sitting there holding her hand for hours at a time. Yeah, I was telling, her husband when he was in hospice at the final days, the little hospice nurse came over and she said, Bill, were you ever in a fire or an explosion? And he said, nah. And she took some other information. She walked out in the hall and I said, went out to her. I said, I know you're about under 30, but I said, did you see that tattoo on his arm? That was the USS Nevada. He turned 19 on D-Day, firing on Normandy. And then he went to the South Pacific and he was hit by a kamikaze plane and the gun turret next to him. So I think he's been in a fire and explosion. They just didn't talk about it.
I remember you telling that story. Yeah, my dad never talked about it. I have this. This is from 19. It's a cover of a magazine from what's the year after the war ended, September 1946. Some guy entered it into a contest and he won, but my dad had no idea he had his picture taken.
So that's what we talked about earlier, didn't we, Zach?
It's amazing.
That's the reason we're doing the podcast. Okay. Okay. So let's what do you want to do now? Well, okay. Do the regular Brady Bunch thing. Okay, well, yeah, we do. And by the way, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if I'm going to run out of time or not because of the Happy Neighborhood Project screwed up this Enterprise Edition, and I've only got so many minutes. So what we can do after that is Brian has another link we could get on if we can access
We
that
could
or
even
what,
reopen this one.
or reopen this one. That'd be better.
We can do that.
Okay, Lee Rosenblum's coming in. Let him come in, and he's been a regular. Yeah, I haven't either. Him and Carolyn have been busy this year. They were right. Yeah, I know.
I cried a little this
I
Saturday.
can't, Zach. I can't imagine that.
We blackmailed her. We blackmailed her. Well, it's funny. One of the things about the Brainy Brunch is I had a guy named Brian Mills, which is one of my clients on Agora support, and I was taking care of his Agora CRM, and he came on here and he got to know Lee Rosenblum, and they didn't know who each other were, and they only live a couple miles apart, so they got to physically meet each other. So that's how networking works, really. All right, we'll start out. And Taki, you want to give your first on my screen? You want to give your 30-second pitch?
Yes, sir. I am the connector. Connection is my thing. Connection is everything, and everything is connected. So that's what I do. Been doing it for a while, gotten pretty good at it. Wrote a book on it, and that turned into a connected community. And More about that can be found at my website, connectedministry.org. And my contact info, you can kind of put my name, Taki Hicks. Don't know how to spell that. That's TAQUEEHICKS.com.
Pretty easy to find on LinkedIn. You come up right away.
Yes, sir.
Next up is Brian, my new friend. And Brian, you have a very interesting background and everything. Tell us about yourself.
Thanks. Happy to be here. It's been a road littered with explosions. Loss of my dream job, a divorce, run out of money. The only smart thing I did was I took notes on all of it and systematically started making emergency procedures the same way that I did when I was a bomb technician in the Navy. My work centers around the difference between freedom from anxiety, freedom from stress, freedom from poverty, to freedom to. I am free to serve, right?
Yeah.
And I've got probably 8 tools that I use, everything from breath work all the way up to the non-conscious mind connection, in the same way that Nikola Tesla and Einstein downloaded those things. That's what I'm facilitating. Not my way of breathing, not my way of dealing with fear, but helping people uncover their very own thumbprinted approach to the biggest stressors in life. Stress is success. And to key, I love Metatron's Cube. I'm really into sacred
Yes, sir.
geometry in a big way. And I'm looking for ways to share my art because they're extremely healing. So I don't know how to do that yet, and maybe you do.
Well,
It's all
again,
connected, bro.
the whole point of the Brady Brunch is making intimate connections and everything. And sometimes the more intimate we get here, the deeper the connections go, as I said earlier. And one of the things is we do encourage you to eat. This is the Brady Brunch. This was originally started so that entrepreneurs could take their brunch and maximize their brunch hour. And people that were too busy to actually do all the networking and TED Talks and motivation and all that in one, we tried to combine that all. And that's what the Brady Brunch is all about. And speaking of that, he has brains and he's eating his brunch, is Lee Rosenblum.
Well, thank you so much, David. I've been missing you guys for 2 months. I don't know. I remember from the last time I saw you, maybe 3. And I know some of you here, remind me, and I came late because I was in the process of trying to finish up with a client. What are you looking for now? Just a brief introduction?
Yeah, give your 30 seconds right now. Mm-hmm.
All right, good. So I am a financial educator. I will teach you the things you probably should have learned in 7th grade, but I'm sure you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I have seminars and webinars to do that. It just happens to be here in Sacramento. I'm doing a big event for about 200 women on the 13th of March. It will not be virtual, but I do things afterwards to follow up. You would see me as a financial advisor, coach, and planner. I do all that. Today, I'm working with a few couples who, when they come to me, they basically say, what happens? What the heck do I do? And that's kind of beginning of the conversation.
Cool. Next up is for my card lady, Carolyn Williams.
Yeah, the digital business card lady. Yes, that's what we do, digital business cards. But really, today it's all about people that are serving and have served. So thank you. I've got my Army hat, my Navy magazine, my Coast Guard shirt. I just ran out of places to put the other things. So I just want to literally tip the hat to say thank you all. Thank you to the veterans. Remember, we've got a bunch of people that look at you like bigger than rock stars. So definitely get out in the community and let the littles know what you do and did. And I just looking at my great niece is a Girl Scout. So on my For My card, I've added a button on my For My card for my great niece's Girl Scout cookie store. Her biggest thing that she loves to do to hit the level where she gets to bring cookies to active duty military.
Nice.
And this kid has met Broadway stars and she's had a very big life since she was an infant, and this sends her over the moon. So she and her little Girl Scout troop to deliver cookies.
And I don't know how this timer thing worked, but if we do get cut off, I'm going to go hook back on with the same link that we got on here before. Okay, we'll do it that way. My name is Dave Rocky. My company is Your Office SOS. What we do is we are the back office for anybody that is too busy doing the details back here on the back end and can't get out front of their business to be the face of their business. That's what we do. We take care of the details in the business, so get you out front of your business. So if you're drowning in a sea of stress, call your office SOS and we'll turn your life from crappy to happy. One thing that we do is I want to talk about why Zach on here and why it's important. We talked about all the World War II veterans that came home that I grew up with, and especially my uncle. I was telling you about my father-in-law who was on the USS Nevada. Well, he fired on D-Day, and then he was 19 the day D-Day, June 6, 1944, and then they went immediately to the South Pacific, and he actually has films of him in Iwo Jima before we even landed, and they were ready to fire, but there was 4 minesweepers going across the film that he had. And I said, my uncle was on one of those minesweepers. He said, it must have been one of the lucky ones because one of them got hit by a mine and didn't catch it in time. And my uncle was on that minesweeper. He was 17. He actually said he got circumcised on the minesweeper for some strange reason. They did that back in World War II at 17. And but he was one of the things that the minesweepers did is before the Battle of Iwo Jima, they would go and sweep the mines. But after that, their job was to go and get the bodies out of the bay. And he was 17 years old, and he never recovered from that. I'm telling you, he never recovered. He was a mean drunk his whole life. He was a fighter, belligerent, and just could never process it right. And that's the kind of thing that we're talking about now. So with that, I'll take it over to Zach, and you can continue. Good. Yeah, and one of the things the Brainy Brunch has really probably my biggest mistake was over the holidays in November, we put it on hiatus because it seemed like every Thursday was was a holiday. So from Thanksgiving on, so we put it on hiatus, and when we did that, we lost some of the steam and momentum because we'd been up in double digits from the inception of this. But again, I think there's also right now seeing some of the other networking events and everything, a little bit of online networking burnout or fatigue, if you will. But what the Brainy Brunch has in one way downsized in far as its numbers go, as Zach will tell you, he's been faithful all year. Just one of the things that we've had is the last couple of meetings, we've really got in depth to know each other and in depth to really develop a deeper camaraderie and relationship. So it's what it's lost in quantity, it's gained in quality. So I'm still going to continue it, obviously, and it's going to evolve and devolve or whatever. It takes the shape of whatever it will. And I think it has a place that we can get to know each other. But the ideal behind this was here's the format for some of you didn't know, was that we give everybody a chance. That entrepreneur, when I was a solopreneur, I didn't have a chance to do a lot of networking. I didn't have a chance to do a lot of things. The only thing I did was had a chance to take my brunch. And I wanted to maximize that. You know how we are. We're driven. We have to maximize every day of productivity. So I wanted to get on there and maybe do a little LinkedIn, maybe do a little networking here with but I wanted to see a TED Talk maybe and learn something. Then I wanted a motivational speech. So that's what we do. So our format is we give everybody a 30-second speech to get their information out there and their pitch. and then put their name in the chat. After that, we have usually a 10 to 15 minute either speaker or a TED talk or a motivational speaker that comes in and talks about their area of expertise so we can learn something, and then a Q&A. After that, then we have a 1 minute or 2 minute little motivational ditty to pick us up, because we know all need picked up in the middle of the day, all need to have a little motivation and inspiration. And then we have everybody takes their group picture and we tag each other on social media. We do that. After that, my wife usually is here. She spins the wheel and she picks out a lucky winner. And for that lucky winner, we commit to give them 3 leads that week. Commit to have them front and foremost on our focus, and make sure that we commit to give them kind of leads instead of just looking out for ourselves. So we commit to give them leads so they get that, and if they're the lucky winner, and then we break out into a one-on-one session if there's time left. If not, we just kind of just chit chat, and especially lately when it's just been 6 or 7 of us, we just kind of chit chat and share our wants, needs, and desires about the week. So that's the format of the Brainy Brunch. It's designed to get those entrepreneurs in solopreneurs and entrepreneurs in there that aren't in the usual networking spots. So as you go to brainybrunch.com, you'll see that I have both or brainybrunch.net. I'm sorry. We have both the we're trying to do a couple things and see what we can do, a book club and a Bible study and things like that. We're going to try to branch out and do some other things. So that's the name of that. And yeah, that'd be awesome, because we don't have a speaker this week, so we're just kind of winging it. So why don't everybody get 3 minutes to just really pour out what you do, what struggles you're having, what you need, what your ideal avatar client is that we can look out for, that kind of thing. Give us some information, and we'll start with Brian now.
Awesome. Cool. So anybody have a little bit of stress in their lives, maybe anxiety? You know anybody? Probably not you.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. What is this? Tell us more about that.
I heard that some people have some trouble sleeping. Not you guys, right? Well, as it turns out, stress is a big problem right now. Most people. Here's the challenge, and in my humble opinion, the difference between an amateur in business or a mission. Amateurs don't have a procedure for when shit hits the fan and life explodes.
Mm-hmm.
So juxtaposed to the Navy bomb technician, the 747 pilot, both engines are out, about to crash into the mountain. Hey, that's a great time for us to build an emergency procedure, right? Said no one ever. So the rest of us, we don't have an emergency procedure. You know, hey, honey, we need to talk. Like, oh no. Hey, I can't work with you this quarter. Like, man, I was counting on that $25,000 worth of revenue. Keep the lights on, right? Like, there's, in most people's lives, there's 3 to 5 triggers that cost us more than a day of creative flow time that we just give away. And so if somebody had a 3-step procedure, it could be take a breath.
Mm-hmm.
Why did I create this? What is it here to teach me? Hey, what do you love about me? Cool. So now in the course of 30 minutes, I'm back on mission, on task. And, you know, I get to just skydive into this mission instead of all the shame and guilt and how did I let this happen again and spiraling out of control. That's what I do. I use breath work for that. I use Reiki. I use quantum sound tuning, and then this connection to non-conscious mind. That may not mean anything to you. That's okay. It's part of the stair step, so that instead of having to go toe to toe, much like, you know, the revolutionary soldier versus the redcoats and forcing our way through business, what if we were to use asymmetric warfare and sneak up around the back? That's what I do. How the sausage is made is very complicated. I don't want to bore you with it, but just know that on the other side of that is like, I haven't been this relaxed in a year. You've helped me actually sleep. I don't need to take 5 energy drinks during my day. Holy shit, I got 25 hours back in my week and my business increased by 22% because I'm looking at my business instead of buried alive with stress. So that's, I mean, I could talk for days about it. I built this over the last 13 years, wrote a book, I was fired as a result of not having this. So I built this for me, and it turns out it's useful for other people. And if you guys ever want a session, the first one's free. We talk, we breathe, we non-conscious mind connect, and you'll leave with a breakthrough and a procedure to help you turn stress into success. So that's my gift to you guys today, if you ever want to do that.
Awesome. And
I have a
again, this
question.
is the one thing about, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, question does Brian. Well, first of all, thank you for your service. I have a question. Did you learn this as part of being a bomb technician? Did you learn it before, or did this all come afterwards?
I learned the breath when I was on stage as Tony in West Side Story when I was 16. That same procedure I then applied to jumping out of airplanes at night when I was terrified. Like at night, weapon, rucksack, O2. I wasn't a very good bomb technician because I didn't have the long-term fear stuff. So I basically learned all of this after I was fired from my platoon before we went to Afghanistan. It was the best, worst day of my life. I took notes. I read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. The space
Love that
between
book.
stimulus
book.
and response. All of my work has to do with widening the wedge between, the stimulus and response. So breath work. And then spent a lot of money on coaching. I got to train with Wim Hof. Basically, I've been making tools on my skydive down, and then being able to repurpose to other people's needs and the shame, guilt, and unworthiness space, which fuels addiction and everything else that fear.
Thank
brings.
you. Thank you so much for sharing.
And that's one thing about the Brainy Brunches that we share. We're open to all ideas. I'm an evangelical Protestant. Carolyn Williams is a Roman Catholic. Lee Rosenblum's Jewish. And in fact, but we talked when Carolyn showed us pictures of the Holy Land, we all had something in common. All of a sudden, we had a lot in common. And of course, we also we love to just share ideas. We all have the light that we're given. We all want to talk about how we got to where we got to and what gives us a source of strength. And we're open to anything. That's the problem in this world. There's too much division. There's too much closedness, and people are not open to talk about things. They want to close off. Right now, I just saw today, my wife was telling me she's holding her mother's hand, who's 97 and has dementia, and she's just sitting there crying and holding her hand. And my wife's just so stressed out about that. And she's so stressed out about the fact that our pharmacy got hacked today. In fact, several pharmacies got hacked today.
All over the country.
All over the country. And yeah. And she knows that the cyber attacks and the infrastructure are imminent, maybe. Who knows? So, there's a lot of things to get stressed about. So, yeah, I got 10 minutes left and then we'll reboot. Or I guess that'd be the best. Yeah. Mm. Mm.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah. Well, we were talking today about 2 books, and one was The Art of War by Sun Tzu, which everybody should have read. We should have never been in Afghanistan. It was bad territory. There was a no-win situation. But I think everybody in West Point read it, but nobody followed it from the high up. So we get get crazy in this world. Anyway, Lee, go ahead. Yep.
Sure. Thank you. I was a social worker, by the way, Brian. That's one reason why I ask a lot of the questions you asked. I never did clinical work, though. I was a nonprofit fundraiser. I raised $250 million by literally going out and meeting rich people. And that was it was never in the job description, but that's really what I was tasked to do every day. And I coached a lot of young people to make phone calls that they never felt they could make, and to ask questions to people that they never thought they would be able to do, because it's so intimidating to deal with super rich people. That's what I did my first career. And because of that, I'd been recruited twice to go work for big Wall Street firms. But I knew if I worked for Wall Street, I'd have to do one thing every day nonstop. That was to make rich people richer. And that's all they cared about. And I since I'm a social worker, I wanted to find a company that dealt with middle-class people, middle-class problems. That's where I am now. Most of my clients are government workers and teachers, kind of people that never get help by big banks or Wall Street. The last few months, I've been super busy, thank goodness. After 10 years of getting a number of referrals and keeping super busy with people just trying to figure out, what do I do? And the basic thing people say to me is, okay, I've got this money. What happens? Can I retire? What should I do? What should I be fearful of? Not that I want to bring fear to people, but as a social worker, I have very serious conversations with people about, for example, I have a number of clients who have some kind of long-term care savings plan. And they didn't know they needed it until I asked them the question. I said, okay, when you can't get out of bed, who's going to wipe your butt? And I know, by the way, not everyone can have that conversation. I pretty much assure you, the people at Merrill Lynch and Goldman Sachs aren't having those kind of conversations with people. And so that's kind of how I approach it. And even though I'm not a CFP, I do a lot of financial planning things. So I can't really say, I can't usually, you put those words together, financial planner, only CFPs can say they are. But I'm a fiduciary, which is the highest standard of care the government recognizes. There's 3 standards of care. Thank you.
Lee,
You're right. I'm sorry.
I can't wait to virtually connect with you, man. The therapy, social work. I mean, there's no difference in that between somebody's relationship with money.
Oh, absolutely.
That
We got a lot to talk about.
That is absolutely the beauty of the Brainy Brunch. The connections we make here have been really good, solid, and deep, and that's one of the things. You said, Brian, that link, Zoom link, is your enterprise link up there.
It is, yeah.
So if after we got 6 minutes left, we'll have one more 3-minute speech, and then everybody copy that link and connect on that link with it that Brian put in. The Zoom meeting ends in 866.
9866, also my cell phone number.
Okay, but that's the Zoom meeting we all want to click on after this.
Yes, sir.
All right, so 3 minutes. Taki, you got to go, and then we'll click on his Zoom meeting and finish this up. Okay, is that fair? Does that sound good, everybody? All right. Happy Neighborhood Project screwed this one up. No, I think. Go ahead, Taki. He's frozen up. It's funny. We just last week we had on the Brainy Brunch we were on Xfinity. This week we're on Google Fiber. So the first switch over I did to Google Fiber, and I've really been happy with it. And it's about half the price of Xfinity.
Can you hear me?
Yep, Taki, we're back. 3 minutes.
Hey, okay. So 3 minutes. Long story short, everything I do is based on 2 words. Those 2 words are just go. Those are the only 2 words I can truthfully say I heard from something within me when my life had basically dropped down to rock bottom. I ended up in the BICU, that's the behavior intensive care unit. Some of y'all that have in the military probably been there before. Me and my family like to refer to it as room 131. That rubber room I was in. And that's when those 2 words came to me, just go. And I didn't really understand it then, how deep I would get into it with that. But through those words, I was able to, my family was out on the street. We went from street to car to extended stay to finally we're in an apartment and moving up as we go. That was based on just that theory of just stop. I mean, no, don't just stop. Wow. Trying to move fast in this time, but just go. And then I added don't stop. So people who know me, they know I use those words all the time because that's what's in me. Part of that motivated me to start connecting, not first of all within myself. And from that, I started to see all the connections around me. And with that just go spirit, I started to self-educate myself, learn things like marketing, became a certified closer in marketing. So any of y'all that have leads that you need closed, I am certified to do that. Met with people with Agora, which is a funny story too. Everything's connected and there's no coincidences. My story with Agora is during the time, and a lot of them didn't know it at the time, but Vince was working with a company that I was a sales agent for called U.S. Merchant Systems, and they didn't know it, but I did. I was working out of my car then, and I was using Kinko's, the library. Those were my offices, and telling people basically they had to pay me in cash because my bank account was toe up.
Wow.
And then a long story short, trying to get back in that business, I found Vince and Agora, and I got back on with Agora. Like I said, there's no coincidences. Then I started realizing things that I could manifest with my mind. A few short stories on that. One time I got this book. Like Brian, I do a lot of reading myself, and like I said, a lot of self educating myself. I read a book that showed me how to actually, I guess, make the active ingredient in LSD by using morning glory seeds. I took that, had a crazy trip, and at that time, I just focused on money. And this is the thing about the power of our mind that we don't understand. And I got deeper and deeper into it after dealing with having to care for my mom who had dementia as well. So the mind, that's where everything started.
Yeah.
So a long story short, with I Am Connected Ministries, it's two parts to that: connected minds, connected hustle. They both go together.
All right.
So, long story short, that next morning, not even thinking about it, I just called, and this is a true story, and I tell you the devastation behind this powerful mind that we have, these powerful minds that we have. The next day, I'm checking my bank account because I know I wrote a check. I don't know if any of you experienced this, writing that check that you're not sure that will clear. And so you're calling your bank to make sure that check cleared and, it didn't bounce. So I called my bank, and it said something like $11,000 was in my bank account. So I quickly hang up. I'm like, I don't doubt somebody else's bank account. I know my bank account should probably be short. So
Chucky, let's finish this after we got less than a minute. So I want everybody to click on or copy Brian's link there. It's the one that
Okay.
ends up in, you'll see it in the chat. Either
got you. I
click on it or
copied it.
copy it, and we'll see you back there, okay?
Gotcha. I'll be back. Gotcha.
Yeah, finish over there.
Okay, everybody. So we're going to finish. We're going to transfer over to another Zoom account. You can see the Zoom account in the chat right now. We're going to finish over there. So join us. If you want to network, if you want to talk, come on in and join us, please. It's not a problem. You're more than welcome. So please come on over, join us, and let's have some fun. Once again, I want to give a huge thank you to everyone who has been part of what we are doing. So give me just a second, and we are going to say thank you to all of our friends helping us make this happen.
I could text it. I could share it on social media. Like, that's pretty cool. And he's like, yeah, you like that? He said, well, look at this one. Sends another link. And essentially it was a directory, or what we used back then, a business card binder. It had everyone in our chapter. Well, we wound up becoming the number one chapter in the number one region. And people wanted to talk more about digital business cards than the printing that we offer, because everybody, they printing just about anywhere. And somebody mentioned Kinkos. I think that was Keeks. So like, he's running to the Kinkos, getting some work done. There's printings around you everywhere. But back then, digital business cards were not. So we made it its own company. And that's about 10 years ago. And we've got certain things we want to always over deliver. So we add value to it as much as we can. The latest value add was the downloadable email signature block. You can create groups on it. The group will generate its own QR code. You can have all the group information on there, and have as much content and change it as much as people like, and keep the price less than a box of business cards. So it's only $69.99 a year. We also have if you know me and you have a one-to-one with me and we talk, there's a chance that you could be a super affiliate at 42% thank you instead of a 5% thank you that you can find easily on our website. But it's a lot of fun because it helps other people get what they want. And that's just like our printing company. Let's help other people succeed and get what they want. Nonprofits use it for fundraising. Like I said, I added my great niece's Girl Scout cookie link to it because I'm out here networking with people around the world. And some people don't have a Girl Scout in their life, and doggone it, it's eating a memory. And is it Thin Mint or Do-si dough? It tastes the same as it did when you were 5 as it does when you're 35, 45, 55, 65. So that's really it. That's it. I love to help connect people. So we're not already connected on social media, or just I'm from the 1900s. You're welcome to call me on a thing called the telephone anytime. That's good too.
1900s.
Yeah. And Key, I seen a lot of Vince in you too. Vince thinks a lot of that same way you do. I see a lot of Vince there. Speaking of Vince and Agora, I am the customers. One of the things is your Office SOS does. We do a variety of things. We're not limited. We do a variety of business solutions. My wife is a career admin, so she does the admin task, keeping you straight, keeping your books straight, keeping your flight schedule straight, your personal schedule, any of that kind of admin stuff. I'm a business manager, and one of the things I do is support for the Agora CRM. So I can get you involved in all that, where you don't have to create your own marketing, you don't have to create your own courses, you don't have to create all this stuff. I can do that for you, so you don't. That's the kind of stuff I do on the end. So any of the Agora related CRM stuff I can do, and we also do anything, like if you hear somebody saying, I could do more if I just had more time, or I could be more creative. The thing is about that, really we got into this business for was the fact that people get into solopreneurship, and 95% of them fail within the first 5 years. And one of the reasons they fail is because you can't do it all. And even if you think you can, you can't, because you don't. Even if you're working 24/7, 365, you're going to burn out. You're not going to have any creative juices anymore. You're not going to you're going to work at less efficiency. It's like trying to work with that, Franklin Covey calls it the dull saw. You got to sharpen that saw. And even as the scripture said, you need to take a Sabbath. You need to take 1 and 7 to retool. So we try to give people that 1 and 7th day off so that they can retool, rethink, get in touch with themselves, and be creative, and get. So you can't do that if you don't have a group like us. Marty and I both, and between the two of us, we have 100 years business experience. That's quite frankly. So you're getting a business coaches, because we've seen a lot of things. We have learned a lot of things on OPM, other people's mistakes and other people's money. So we offer that to you: business coaching, wisdom, and everything else you can't get in the usual virtual assistant online business manager. So that's what we do. And it's our give back. And we've seen a lot of around a lot of corners and things that we give you to, and plus we can do the tasks. And at that being said, I'm going to turn it back to Zach to talk a little bit, and then we'll see what we want to do. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm. Mm. Uh, Thank you.
Yeah, always. I'm always ready, man.
Yeah. That's great. That's awesome. Let's take a group picture first before we can, so I can tag everybody on LinkedIn. So Taki, get your pretty face in here, buddy. On the count of three, 1001, 1002, 1003. I'll post it on LinkedIn and tag everybody and Facebook. All right.
Cool.
Take it away, Brian.
Honor to have 2 minutes of your time and attention. Yeah. So, in the words of St. Francis of Assisi, preach the gospel, use words only when necessary. So I'm going to take the alternative meaning of your inspiration as to mean breath, the inspire. And so I just want to take 2 minutes and just breathe with you. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, a movie's a million pictures, and a feeling is worth all of the poetry ever written ever. And I just want to breathe in with you guys. So just breathe in however you like. Here's the key part, the exhale. That sigh of relief. When you breathe out, trust that that next breath is going to be there for you. I've come to know that the breath is the metaphor for everything. He who has the biggest breath also has the most power. This sound in Aramaic, the is the name of God. And my favorite Bible verse ever is the 150th Psalm. Let every breath praise the Lord. By the way, it feels really good too. So what we're doing in the exhale is we're making nitric oxide. Carolyn, that was a great exhale. Well done. Like really let go in these. And on your exhale, just let go of any tension that you have. So the exhale and the space between the breath. So just take a pause. Don't breathe in yet. Now breathe in. We just gave the diaphragm a chance to rest for the first time in years. It's always breathing. It's always moving for us. And when the diaphragm's resting, so are the rest of the organs. We're at a minute right now. Anybody feeling any more relaxed than before? Carolyn, you're smiling from ear to ear. You're doing it right.
A little lightheaded too.
Good. Lee's looking at me like, what is this weirdo up to? That's all right. I judge myself. There's the smile. And then these last 20 seconds on the breath out, I want you to laugh with me. Last breath.
Stop laughing.
That's laughing yoga. That's a real thing. There are doctors that practice. Great on the yawning, Lee.
Sorry.
No. I love that. I love when people
Relax.
yawn. It's how I know the energy's moving or that there's been some stress relief. Thank you for playing full out, guys.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Man, I feel so good after that. I do that every morning, and when I practice with other people, it's 10 times better. We're meant to do this together.
Well, I think one of the things too that I recommend highly is there's 31 Psalms in the book of Psalms, and there's 31 days in a month, and you read one for every corresponding day. I'm sorry, did I say Psalms? I meant Proverbs.
Robert.
I'm going.
Not more songs.
Yeah, there's 150. So you can read three. You can read 3 of them a day. It'd be good shape. Yeah, there's 3 Proverbs. Proverbs are broken up. If you read one per day that corresponds with the day, that's really a good way to start your day too, by the way.
One of my kids was here. He this is when he was a teenager. He was a young teenager, and he got in some kind of trouble. And that's what he had to do. He had to write Proverbs every day.
A lot of wisdom Solomon had. It's funny, he went through
Pretty
all
good
his
lesson.
he went through all his phases and went through his phases, but you could tell by the end of his life at Ecclesiastics, he really got it all together then eventually.
Can I add one thing in 30 seconds?
Yes, absolutely.
Solomon, who was a wise man, asked his wise men, give me something to make me feel better. Because sometimes he was elated, sometimes he was depressed. And they gave him a ring. And the ring said, this too shall pass.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Ahim Amin Amen in truth and faith and trust.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right.
Wow. Wow.
Boom.
God
Hey,
bless
Zach,
you. Zach, God bless
call
you.
me if you want to do some breath and tune up. If you need a little recharge, man, I'm happy to support you that way.
That's nice.
Sure. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Definitely.
Thanks for having us, and I appreciate you very much.
Really
Okay.
glad
Do
you
good work, Zach.
Thank you. Thanks. Oh, we'll see you
Appreciate
later.
you, Zach.
Yeah.
Check out your
Don't
post
forget
on
work, Zach.
LinkedIn.
Okay, again, that was look, that's a lot of fun. It's networking is something that some people take it really, really serious. Some people like to have a little bit of fun with it. This group is one that we try to have a lot of fun with it. We try to do things a little bit different. We want to make sure, which is something that's really cool with Community Pay It Forward. We thrive to do things a little bit different, and being able to, be part of the Brainy Bunch, which happens every Thursday at this time, whatever this time is for you. But look, one of the things that networking can do is, if you know somebody who's looking for a job, have them join us, because they can talk about what their what their qualifications are, what they do, what they enjoy, how they enjoy, things that they do all over the place. They can join us, and they can possibly get a chance to get that job that's been eluding them. There are so many things that we can do together. All we have to do is try. Again, about halfway through, so many good guests today. I want to start with Sean Whittington, who has donated one copy of each of his books that we're auctioning off right now. He joined me this morning, or the first section of this morning, when I had no internet. Yeah, it was annoying. It was terrible. So when you go back and watch the first hour and a half, I was on my phone. But we stuck to it. We didn't, we weren't going to go anywhere. We stuck to it. Then met our brand new friends, and I need to give them a shout out real quick, because they are really supporting us. And unfortunately, I haven't had time to change the video, but I do want to say this: Alabama, the Alabama Paranormal Network is sharing this show. They're broadcasting this show. Spirit, Alabama. Thank you. They're sharing our show, and that to me means so much, because they're participating in what we're doing. Terry Wilson joined me in the second hour. Excuse me, lost my voice there for a second. At 3:20 this morning, Mountain Time. So she came on, she joined us, just doing wonderful things, talking, having a lot of fun. Then we were joined by Daniel Bello and Patty Daigle. Patty, she contacted me. She contacted me on the chat, and she said, "Hey, I heard about what you're doing, and I'd like to join you. I'd like to talk to you." Gave her the link. She came on and she talked to us. She was a 10-year Air Force vet. She came on, she talked. She had some great words of encouragement and shared great stories. Daniel runs Rescue Resident. And again, they turn ambulances into tiny homes. One of the organizations we are running to make money for today. Please scan the QR code. Either make donations if you can. If not, bid on some of these items: the tool bag, the Yeti, the wine, the wine gift card. the gifts from Clayton's Creations, the Terry's readings, the books, the pans, the tattoo if you're in Northern Colorado. There's things in there. We need your help. So scan the code, either go to the silent auction, put a bid on it, help us out there, or simply donate if you can. Then Tim Mabry and Kyle Goodnight both came on. Those two were amazing stories that worked together at that point because there were so many similarities there. Both first responders and both had some pretty traumatic times. They've turned those traumatic times into wonderful, wonderful things. We also watched a really fun video I did that was talking to oh geez, I'm drawing a blank now. I feel terrible. Wow, that's not good. But we were joined by Ricky Birkenstock and had again another great conversation. Ricky and I were joined by after that by Alan Holmes, Jared Smith, and Brian Muka. You guys just saw who Brian was in the networking. Showing you how to breathe. I know it sounds weird, but if you breathe in properly, it's harder on your system than it's not. And breathing can really be very relaxing. So the recording was with Carolyn from For My Card. Oh my God. Was just talking to her and okay. All right, look, I'm now in my 11th hour. All right, give me a little bit of a break. This is, I'm right there at the hump. So not quite over it yet, going downhill. I'm still teetering. I think I kind of maybe high-ended myself, but So then we were joined by Sarah Kuoku, Emily, and Rob Hallman. That again, 3 different things talking about jobs, talking about insurance, talking about your health. 3 different things aimed at one person, aimed at somebody out there who needs it. Ricky Birkenstock and I were also joined by Joe, who has offered for our auction a 1-month personal coaching program valued at $600. You know what? Starting bid, I believe, is $200. Come on. Why not? Bid $200. If you win it, get a $600 value. And that money goes to 9 organizations trying to help. Then I was joined by Debbie Hayes, Dogs and Tags, and Taki Hicks. After that, it was Trevor Gibbs, Siobhan Cunningham, and Eric Maxwell. We just had the Brainy Bunch, had a lot of fun networking, and now it's time to move forward and get started with the second half of the day. I am very, very, very proud and honored to invite these 2 on with us. And we're going to be joined here pretty soon by another one of our missions. But first off is Tanya Block-Rosen. Did I get that right? I got it completely wrong. Tanya Block-Rosen?
Rusin.
It's
all right. Tanya Block-Rusin.
I got it. Thank you. I would claim it was head injury. I just wasn't that smart to begin with.
It's okay. I hear it all the time. Not a problem.
But Smart Virtual Solutions Thank you so much for joining us and supporting us.
Absolutely.
And we're also going to be joined by Mr. Z. He is off camera right now, but I will be bringing him on as soon as he's done. He may be on a phone call. Very busy guy. One of our forever partners. There he is. Here he is. Look at that. Call him, and he shall appear. So, like the magic man he is. But thank you both very much for joining us. It's been an amazing day. There's been a lot of conversations had that we've put a lot of people together that aren't in a similar situation, but you two are. You guys work around the technology thing. Mr. Z is a wonderful, wonderful web designer, web guru. And Tanya, you work a lot. You have a lot of information about what's going on right now with these emails that people really need to know. Can you tell us what is going on? Because everybody's getting these warnings that are saying, get this done. Not a lot of people understand how to do it, though.
Absolutely. So Google and Yahoo are trying to protect us as consumers, and they're doing the things that they've been, the laws and the regulations have said that need to be done anyway. They're just putting a lot more security in place. So as consumers, they're protecting the email boxes. For us as businesses, or for people as nonprofits, or anyone trying to send emails to consumers of any sort, we need to step up our game a little bit and have different codes put into the background of how we send emails. So it's kind of convoluted, but the key things is you can't. It's best if you no longer send emails from your free Gmail or free Yahoo account. You want to have a business or an actual certified domain connected to it, a purchased domain. Then we put specific what's called DNS codes, and DNS codes basically means it's the things that tell the computer what to do, where to send them, how this email comes across, things like that. It's the zeros and ones, it's that stuff. So you need to have specific different codes back there. Then you need to make sure that people can unsubscribe from your emails very easily. It's called a one-click unsubscribe. Now there is a permanent record that says they're going to watch you. So you need to make sure that your emails are reaching the inbox, that you're not having bounced emails, that you're sending to good email addresses, that type of thing. So, and that your content is good, that people are engaging and that they're actually opening it, because those are going to be rated for you now too.
Tell me this, with all of these changes that people are making, is it going to make it to where you get spammed less? Because I know that my emails a lot of times end up in the spam boxes, and not that people put them there. It's just that's where they go to. And I don't use a free account.
Mm-hmm. That's the general idea, is that there is going to be less spam, but let's be honest, the people that want to, so in my business, there's a lot of the gurus that are out there that say, go buy a list or go scrape a list and then get a free email account and start sending your cold sales letters out. That's not necessarily going to stop. Hopefully it slows down, but people are still going to try to get around the system in one way, shape, or form. So I would love to say that it's going to stop spam. It's not. It is going to make things more difficult for us as businesses or as nonprofits trying to get our information out. But it just means that us that are following the rules, we're just going to continue to follow the rules, and hopefully we'll be the ones that don't, they're going to be stopped for a little while until they figure out a way around it.
Well, I don't mind being a goody two shoes once in my life, I guess. So, I'm going to be working with you on Tuesday, and I greatly appreciate that. I desperately need the help. If anybody knows that, it's this man here. Mr. Z is the creator of Community Pay It Forward, and the guy that I run to all the time going, help me because I don't know what I'm doing. And he hears that all the time. Matter of fact, he heard that today. So he jumps and helps me out. Z, how you doing, brother?
I am privileged and grateful for being here. Very nice to meet you, Tanya. And
nice to meet you.
Thank you. And my brother from another mother, you are the person that's bringing the magic here. I'm just the extra Z in the alphabet, and you, sir, are definitely the person that's bringing awareness to something that we all need to talk about. And I'm glad to hear that there are people like professionals like yourself and Tanya that are bringing awareness to spam protection. And I was rolling my eyes before because there are those gurus with or without beers that say, oh, just, you know, sell to these people cold heartedly and with no effort whatsoever. So I have to agree with, actually, I want to agree with Tanya with everything she said. And your prevention of not having to deal with people that are going to eventually keep you blacklisted in your emails as well. So I think it's great. So my long answer to that is I'm doing okay. I'm fortunate to be here, and I want to say thank you both very, very much for having me here on this patriotic podcast. You've been running for 22 hours so far.
Well, Z, we had our good buddy on, Trevor, about 2 hours ago, and Trevor was talking about something that we try to bring light upon all the time, which is something similar to what Tanya was just talking about, and that is accessibility of your website, making sure that people who are differently abled are able to access your website. It's ridiculous to me why people wouldn't do it. And no, that does not mean that you put a wheelchair ramp on your website. And yes, we have had somebody ask us that. No joke. Well, why do I need to put a wheelchair ramp on my website? Me being the smart aleck I am, I really wanted to say, well, why not? Or something snarky. But you look, I don't know why you would tie your hands and say, well, I want everybody to buy my products except for people who can't see my website. Why would you do that? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. I know you're one who is very, very particular in making sure your websites are accessible to everyone. Why is this such an important thing for you?
I appreciate you asking that, and I assume that's for me, correct?
Yes, yes.
Oh, great. Yeah, I know what you're referring to, and let's just say those people have that dinosaur mentality of being a T-Rex, and we're living in the year 2024 at this point. I know it sounds futuristic, but if it's one thing that'll stay forever, and I hope it will, is the Americans with Disabilities Act, making sure that we're not discriminating against those who are differently abled or living in different ways. It's so important. I mean, imagine this. You're going to a restaurant, but how would you feel if you went to a restaurant that was too dark? You couldn't even see the menu. And unfortunately, someone would tell you, hey, I know you want to dine here, but why don't you go across the street where they're more accessible for those who are in wheelchairs? I mean, someone wants to learn more about your product. Someone wants to learn more about your mission and your cause. Why alienate those that want to give back to the community and spread their awareness? But of course, the importance of having your website or apps or everything accessible for those who are differently abled goes beyond just making things accessible. It's the experience, making sure that you're cognizant of them being people too. I mean, there are individuals who are either born differently abled or some things have happened, whether it's on a permanent basis or on a temporary basis, where they've experienced what it's like or experiencing what it's like to be differently abled. And I don't mean to label anyone. I mean to say that if someone is living in a way that's different from what I take for granted, such as walking and being able to see such great people like yourselves, why not cater to those who don't have the ability yet to experience what we all can? So I think that's why it's so important to ensure that all buildings, apps, websites, or just train stations and the New York City MTA, that's a whole different conversation, to make it accessible for those who are hearing impaired, visually impaired, and of course, let's be cognizant of those who are living with motor impaired skills and cognitive as well. Alzheimer's, the spectrum, and of course, Parkinson's, and the list goes on. So equality for all, not because you have to, it's because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. Tanya, what are some of the other things? And I don't want to cut it to where all you do is emails, because that's not all you do.
not all
You
I
are
do.
very talented. You have your hands on a lot of things. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do and introduce yourself to everyone?
So, like Zach, I'm also in Colorado. I'm in Western Colorado, and I help people with their virtual technology tools so that they can streamline their business. So those things that we need to do that they say we need to do to market our business, I help you with the technology that goes involved with that. So I also design websites, sales funnels, calendar, scheduling links, automated responses, build automations into your business, because I have, my own little bit of a personal story is I have been a caregiver essentially 4 times in my adult life. So this most recent one, the 4th time, technically I'm a wife, so I'm not really a caregiver, but it does change when you're caregiving, when you're caring for even your spouse. It's a little bit different. Your mindset changes. And my husband is a retired Army veteran. His father, one of the my elders that I took care of, was a retired also Army, but he knew how to fly planes and built his own airplane. And so what I want to do is I want to help caregivers, people like me that are trying to run their business and then know that they have to take care of their loved one, and things may pop up, or that doctor's appointment or that emergency, and you need your business streamlined so that you can still do your business, but it's all over the place and you can't, and when this emergency happens. And in the beginning of January, my world fell apart because my husband had 2 heart attacks on the same day. And I got really lucky. We were blessed that we had warning and we got to the hospital, and he's fine now, but we are dealing with the aftermath. So I understand that caregiver journey, and I also understand the patient journey as well, and for our veterans and for their families. The other side of it is I want to help the people providing the care, the health care and wellness people, the professionals. I want to have them help more people. So they need to be in their zone of genius, helping more people, so that we build their businesses to make sure that it's as streamlined as possible. So they're doing less of those redundant tasks, so that they can help more people like my husband get better and do, to live his life as fully as he can. So mainly it's that caregiver thing, because I've been there and I'm in some ways doing that. And that's what I want to do, is try to help people streamline their business so that you can be there for your family, whether it's your elder, your spouse, even your kids. I mean, even mothers and fathers are technically caregivers. It's just a different word for it.
Yeah. One of the other things, Tanya, that you do that I have to give a little bit of push to.
Yes, I also do personalized gifts. My mother a couple of years ago decided that she wanted to get one of those Cricut vinyl cutting machines, and she didn't want my father to know exactly how expensive it was going to be. So she offered to buy me one if I bought it, for her. So we both got Cricuts at the same time. Hers is not very used. Mine is very used. So I love making shirts and decals and customized mugs and tumblers and stickers and things like that. So one of the times that Zach and I had a conversation, he told me that he really loved bears. It's one of, and most specifically polar bears. So I sent him some things that I thought that he would like.
And and it worked out perfect, because you also sent us you sent us a thing with it's got the little country girl logo, which is completely my wife, and then you gave us a little elf that was enjoying a rolled cigarette, we'll just say, which those are 2 things that you put those together, and you got my father all wrapped up in that thing, So, as a matter of fact, I just he's still got that sitting right beside him too. I don't think he knows where he's going to put it, unfortunately. And I'm just going to say this on a personal note, Dad, good luck. I know you were just rushed into an emergency surgery, so best of luck, and take care, and Hopefully you'll be home before I get off this podcast. So, but we're halfway through. Z, what are some of the other things that that Z World Webs is looking to accomplish? What are some of the other things that you really want to focus on?
Well, I appreciate you asking. Simply put it, just to make Z World a better place by connecting with the right people like yourselves, whether they're caregivers giving back to the community or community leaders like yourself, brother man, who are just bringing awareness to the things that most people don't often talk about. And it goes beyond websites. It's about connecting others to do the right thing and make this world a better place. And I appreciate the kind words. And I'm no guru by any means. I'm just a guy that likes to stick around like a spider in the corner of your wall.
Yeah, yeah,
hanging in
yeah,
there.
and watch the dogs bark and gnaw on each other every Monday and Thursday. So,
Love it.
joining us now next is a new friend of ours, Mr. Z. He has joined the program as one of our mission partners. And I met Marshall the other day, and he's a great guy. Marshall, how are you doing? Marshall, you founded Combat Recovery Foundation.
Yeah,
And yeah, it's great to have you here. Tell us a little bit about what you guys are all about.
yeah, thanks for having me on. So, Combat Recovery Foundation can be found at combatrecoveryfoundation.org. We are a nonprofit focused on suicide prevention for veterans. And we've discovered that the greatest tools we have in the fight against suicide are purpose and belonging. And both of those are addressed through community. So, the goal of our organization is to, in addition to crisis intervention and upstream suicide prevention efforts, we seek to foster community.
You are right here in northern Colorado as well. So we've got 3 Colorado, 1 New York. And here in a minute, we're going to be joined by California. So we're going to go all over the world here. Well, not the world, but, all over the country here in just a second. But what are some of the things that you are noticing? What are some of the problems that you are noticing most about individuals that are coming to you with issues? Is there one specific thing that a lot of them have in common, or does it bounce all over the place?
I think one of the misnomers about suicidality and acute depression is that it's a undertreated mental illness or depression that's just gotten super extreme. And I think the truth of it is that we're a social organism. We're a species that learn to survive in a community, and we are, like no other time in our history, becoming more and more isolated, and we're maladapted to that. And another way of saying it, our species is allergic to isolation. And so it's something that's affecting every one of us. And like so many things in life, it exists on a spectrum, and some of us are more affected than others.
There's a lot of times that veterans come out and they feel isolated anyway. You add something like what we've lived through the last couple of years, that's made it increasingly worse, has it not?
Well, certainly. And if you look at the veteran experience, it's being in the military, you're part of a huge community, and you've got a lot of purpose, you've got a lot of belonging, right? And then you come out into our modern era here, and it's the antithesis of that. And so what's been happening recently geopolitically, people who have fought in wars are always going to be disturbed by war. And that is an environment that there is no shortage of right now. And so with all of the myriad of tragedies that we've been encountering recently, it's definitely having a profound effect on our veteran population and our population as a whole. I think it's important to remember that I care very deeply for our veteran population. I'm a veteran myself, but veterans don't live on an island. We are a part of this community. We are a part of the society. We are humans. And so, as much as veterans hold a special place in my heart, I think it's important to recognize that these things have an impact on all of us.
I want to make sure that I ask everyone, and we're going to be bringing on Brian here in a minute. But please, if you guys have any questions of each other, let's please make sure that we ask, because not one person can ask every question, and especially since you guys are a lot smarter than I am right at this moment. That is without a doubt. So for out a doubt, see. There we go. Proof positive right there. But please make sure, if you guys have any questions of each other, let's make sure that we ask.
I actually do, if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
So, Z, when you're talking about the like building websites so that they are accessible to everyone, I'm aware of a plugin that can kind of help you with that. But the general design ideas, I know that most people, especially getting into any business, are trying to just build their website. So they have no idea that they need to make it accessible until they hear it from someone else. So do you have any like the top 5 tips and tricks or things like that to help the new website user or the new website designer that's trying to do it themselves make it more user friendly for, the challenged? I don't know how to say that.
You totally got it. And thank you so much for asking, Tanya. I appreciate your cognizance of those trying to build a new website. And of course, bringing awareness to the Americans with Disabilities Act in a very smart and virtual way. The top 5 tips I would definitely recommend is to ensure that the website doesn't have any flashing animation that goes in your face. Not great for those who are epileptic. Of course, have closed captioning on your videos. For those who are a bit hearing impaired or disadvantaged. Alt tags, it's just a fancy word for alternative text, which is great for SEO. And for those who are visually impaired, they are using a software known as JAWS to read their website or their computer from top to bottom. Making sure that the color contrasts very well. The last thing you want is to go to a website where it has a red background with green text, or having buttons or colors that indicate what you need to do. And my best tip I can definitely say is definitely check out my dear friend, colleague, Web Detective Trevor from the webdetective.online or Select Services LLC. But if you'd like to learn more in detail, I definitely recommend to you or anyone in this who's listening is ada.gov/web-guidance. And again, it's www, because I'm a 90s person, ada.gov/web-guidance. And it'll take you to all the resources that's on the Department of Justice's website. I hope that answers your question. And I think your question was just absolutely spot on. Thank you, Tanya, for asking, and for everyone else.
So before we go any further, I want to go on ahead and bring on Brian Schramp. Jeez. Thank God I talk for a living. Brian Shamp, who I met at, ironically, it just ended on the Brainy Brunch a couple weeks ago. You are a coach out in the California area. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm great, Zach. Thanks for having me.
Hey, no, thank you for being here. Tell us, Brian, what are some of the reasons why we need to be as healthy as we can be?
Well, I was listening to our other speaker about just being social, and I think I do a word of the week every week, and this week my word is foundation. I think taking care of ourselves and having a good foundation of self-care is going to help us be more social, is going to help us be our best, is going to just help us be a better human, right? So I think a lot of it's under our control. I even wore my shirt today that says, "I am a priority." And I think that's something I talk about a lot is, we tend to give a lot to other people, but we don't take care of ourselves very well. So my goal typically is to help those who, most people go to a trainer or a nutrition specialist, they sign up for a gym because they want to lose weight, but weight is really a side effect of a lot of other things gone wrong. So my goal is to help people with 7 different areas in order to create balance. So what I do is I help people reduce stress, create work. I call it work, love, life balance. So work is obvious, what we do for a living. And we have our love area, which is like our relationships, our friends, our family, serving others. And then our life is what I consider the self-care space. So if I can get people into balance, if you can get into balance, we're just going to be healthier, happier human beings, and we're going to be more social and want to take care of each other better. And I think all will just work out. But a lot of it's getting that mind and spirit, right? And the physical healthy. And that might take a lot of work, but that's what I do.
Marshall, that's speaking to you, because you guys, you do a lot of things outdoors, right? You got like a get together style, gathering and exercising, doing things like that. Isn't that part of your program?
Yeah, so we believe in the restorative benefits of nature connectedness. And so our next event is a 3-day hiking and camping trip supported by pack horses here in the mountains of Colorado. And we're going to be doing some nature connectedness activities, and we're going to be reading a book called Tribe by Sebastian Junger. If you haven't read it, couldn't recommend it more highly. Really, really short book, quick read, and a lot of evidence around the social psychological ailments that we are encountering today.
This is the question I've been asking everybody, and Tanya, I'm going to start with you. If I gave you a magic wand right now, what would you wish upon the world to work together to do to make a difference?
I would go with compassion and positivity, because you don't know what's going on with that other person. You don't know what has just happened, what has happened in their life. So the compassion of being honest, or being patient and having that compassion, the idea of positivity. So, the internet has made the world so negative that you're actually afraid to post things, because so people are so honest, or they are, they're on the attack. So I would go with those 2 things, because I think that with compassion and positivity, everyone can come together and we can figure out the world's problems.
That's actually the first time we've got that answer. So I really like that, and I appreciate that. Mr. Z?
If I had a magic wand, just to make the world a better place, just make sure that everyone is happier in what they're doing and making a huge difference to make this world a better place. And following up to what Tanya said about compassion, transparency, and not to be unpolitically correct here, but I think our veterans deserve a lot more support than just signing a piece of paper waiting for their benefits to come. So if there's any way we could make it easier for our veterans to get their financial, educational, and employment needs that they can get easily without going through the red tape, that's what I would do with my magic wand, or give it to the next veteran who needs it more than I do.
Brian?
The word that comes to mind is gratitude. So I know it's something that, I continue to work on, and it's very difficult to, at least it is for me, but it seems like it is for a lot of others as well. To not focus on all the things that are wrong, all the things that I could have done better, my to-do list, being a better father, being a better neighbor, being a better husband. I mean, it's just, it's very difficult, I think, especially in this day and age of social media and constant news and constant pattern interrupts with everything and everybody, right? things could always get worse. But I think overall, we have to focus on what's good, right? So, I've done a lot of work with Tony Robbins, and one quote that he says often is, "What's wrong is always available, and so is what's right." And it's something that even working with my my daughter, I remember she was 7 years old, and she would always at nighttime. I don't know if anybody else experienced this, but at nighttime, kids tend to have all their problems come up. You put them to bed, they don't talk to you all day, but all of a sudden you put them to sleep. My knee hurts, my tooth hurts, my head hurts, because they're finally disconnecting as well. They're not thinking about things, and we started changing that. And of course, things can be wrong. We don't want to mask those, but we started a practice every night. So what are you grateful for today? Just very simple. And that seemed to have. It's a practice. It wasn't too easy in the beginning. I know when I did a lot of spiritual direction work, and I took this course called the Spiritual Exercises of Saint Ignatius. It's a 500-year-old program, and created by Saint Ignatius, the Jesuit. And so this gratitude practice thing isn't just a mainstream thing. It just came around, within the last 10 years. It's been around for a while. And I know when I was taking this course, it was rough. I was going through a bankruptcy. It was a really bad time. And I was told to journal for 45 minutes a day on all the things I'm grateful for. And I couldn't think of anything. All I could think of was, how am I going to survive? How am I going to make it through the next day? How am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to, take care of my kids? So they told me, you got to reflect, think about all the things you're grateful for. I'm like, I don't have time. And then the instructor said, I'm going to kick you out of the program if you don't. And that was like the only thing going well for me at that point. So I started this practice, and that was kind of how I got into it. It was just, but it's an art. And now I can spit out things pretty quickly that I'm grateful for. So that's a long answer, but gratitude would be my answer.
No, that's a perfect answer. It helps. Marshall?
Yeah, I think those are great answers, Tanya and Mr. Z, Brian, all fantastic. So what I have to say is wants to build on that. Brian, particularly, I want to call you out. When I was earlier on in my journey, the concept of gratitude having an impact on my mental health and well-being was like, how could it possibly, right? And when I really diligently started practicing that, it's actually astonishing, the impact of that. Such a simple thing to do, and so impactful. For me, I feel like as a species, we just love to find differences between us and focus on those. And we love to draw lines in the sand and create us versus them scenarios. And I just think it's so important for us to remember that we have way more in common than we do that separates us. And so my word's going to be community, and to foster and cultivate community and togetherness every chance we have.
I love community. I think community is I think it's such an important word that we, I would say that my biggest problem with the word community is that we tend to shrink it too much. Our community ought to be everyone that we come in contact with, everywhere. It doesn't matter if you're traveling somewhere else. They're still the same people that are in your own little community. We ought to consider everyone around us, everyone we're ever around, part of our community. So I really do. I think that, I have a broader sense of the word. I have a really broad sense. I'm not going to say broader sense. That's implying that it's different than yours. But what I have a broad sense of what I think a community is. This is another question brought upon by what Brian and Marshall just said. Tanya, why do we have a difficult time telling people what we're thankful for? Why is it so difficult?
I can't actually answer that because I tend to be one of the people that, I grew up in a household that we always tell each other that we love each other.
Mhm.
And after every single meal, I would thank my mother for the meal. And, I do that with my husband. I think part of that is, I will admit, part of it is habit, but part of it is just the fact that we tell each other multiple times a day in all kinds of different ways that we love each other. Thank you for what you've done. Thank you for, the meal. Thank you for whatever. So it's not something that I necessarily have in my life, but I also think that it also does put you as, if you're doing it with someone that you don't know very well, then it makes you vulnerable. And I think us as humans don't like being vulnerable because I think it's that instinct to protect ourselves, and we don't necessarily have to protect ourselves from the claws and the teeth that animals do, but we protect ourselves from the mental and the emotional because that's the only thing we really know how to do, what to protect ourselves from. And I think that a lot of people, myself included, don't necessarily like to get vulnerable with others, and especially in this day and age, which goes back to what I said about positivity, is it's so easy for someone to attack you for being different or for being vulnerable that they'll undermine your vulnerabilities, and it's not the best way of the world any longer.
Adding to that, like you mentioned earlier, even putting yourself out there on like Facebook or something, there's always going to be somebody who wants to take and twist it around. And even if it's not what you were implying, they're going to twist it into something different. But Z, why do you think people struggle?
Well, I want to start off by saying thank you for having everyone here on this great podcast. And of course, Zach, for, putting this all together. Tanya is so right about, how people can twist words and being vulnerable, and Coach Brian being able to ignite the conversation about gratitude. And of course, Marshall, for your services. And I have to agree with him. One of the biggest allergies we have as human beings is isolation. And it's great that we can all be here together to share our thoughts and help each other out. And I could be wrong. This is just my opinion. I think it's hard for us to be thankful these days is because we're so used to getting everything that we want. Not everything per se, but we can get things quick. We can go to our local e-commerce website. We can go right down our street, purchase a few boxes of donuts, and we don't have to hunt for food anymore. And the point I'm trying to make is, a lot of people, even myself sometimes, or most of the time, often forget that I'm blessed to be here alive today. There is someone out there in Africa or someone overseas that has to live knowing that their house can explode or something, or someone who is in the battlefield as we speak, where they don't know what's behind that door. I guess you could say that I'm protected at the moment, but if we take a moment every day to realize, I'm thankful to live in a world that we have a thing called the internet. We have the world called we have the concept of the internet, and the concept of the internet, websites, and connecting on a worldwide basis with the technology that we have today. I don't think we would be able to do this in the year 1746. Right now, we're living in the year 2024, being able to connect on a worldwide basis. And I do want to mention, in terms of gratitude and being thankful, you don't want to just take things. I don't want to take things for granted until I don't have the opportunity to use them anymore. For example, let's just say I start my day every morning. First thing I do, I say thank you to the universe and all that stuff. But what happens if I can't turn on my computer? Oops. Oh, well, I can't start my day after all getting my work done. So I'm always holding my breath if my computer would ever open. If it doesn't, well, I'm thankful that it's still here today. And you're all here today as well.
Yeah, like I said, I wasn't very thankful at 1:30 this morning when I looked down and I had no internet. That was not fun at all. So yeah, for the first hour and a half of this show, there was no internet. I had to do it by my iPhone, and you know, I'm a big guy in that teeny tiny screen. It didn't work too well, and even the Wi-Fi was really, or the signal on my phone, it wasn't that choppy. Brian, you were the one who first started this. Why do you think people struggle with the gratitude?
Well, I'm sorry to hear about the whole internet issue.
Yeah, you know what, brother? It's over 11 hours later, and we're still here.
Yeah. Hey, not grateful for that. So, I mean, the first word that comes to my mind is privilege. You know, and I think Mr. Z mentioned that, you know, in so many words. Yeah, we expect everything to work out, right? And even this thing. I was supposed to be here at 12:20. I came on at 12:19, expecting it to work. It did, but
yeah.
And I was thinking about, I probably should get there a little early, but it all worked out today. But it doesn't always work out, right? And I probably would have been a little irritated if it didn't. But that would have been my own fault for not being prepared. I should have got here early. It just worked out today, right? So, but I think sometimes it does work out, and a lot of times it doesn't, especially with technology. Technology is a blessing and a curse. But yeah, I just think we tend to expect everything's going to work out, and you know, we're very privileged people, right? You know, we're just busy too, right? It's just how many of us have another thing right after this and another thing right after this, right? I tell people all the time, we need to slow down. I'm a big fan of breath work, and we talk about it often. I coach people on breathing, but it's one of my biggest problems. I'm challenged by being a doer. What can I fit into the next 5 minutes, 3 minutes? Just constant go. So I think it's very difficult to just slow down and stop when you feel that you must, I want to help this person, I want to help that person, I'm going to do this, I'm going to constantly say yes. So there's a lot, I think there's a lot of little things there.
Okay. Marshall?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, Zach, and Mr. Z, thank you for the acknowledgement. So I want to begin by saying I don't know, but I will take a stab at what I think it might be, or at least a contributing factor, is the lessons we learn when we're young tend to stick with us for our lifetime. And they're some of the hardest habits to break, if you will. And thinking back at that time, when a kid is crying or sad or there's something wrong with them, they tend to get all the attention. And the kids that are happy and grateful for what's going on and aren't displaying that there are any issues, they're not getting as much of attention. So I think it might just be a contributing factor, at least could be it's a habit learned early in life that, if you're walking around head down, moping and grumpy and stuff, that you might kind of garner more acknowledgement and respect from the people around you than the person who's just happy-go-lucky and grateful.
Yeah, there's great wisdom in saying we are spoiled. I mean, there truly is. I remember, well, I should remember it. I think it was yesterday. I don't know. I mean, the days kind of blended in together now, but yesterday I got a brand new ink cartridge and it didn't work right away. And I was freaking out because I was like, what? I got this coming up. I had an event last night. I needed to get stuff printed. And I didn't think about, dude, you're printing up things that you're probably going to end up throwing away, most of them anyway. Just calm down. I instantly went into, oh my God, what is going on here mode. So yeah, I do agree with that. We do get things easy. And, I mean, hey, as a human species, we kind of deserve that. We've got people like Z, like Tanya, who build things that make our lives easier. So I mean, there's a point where we deserve those things. As evolution has happened, we've grown to understand them and utilize them. You know, I mean, let's be honest. If cavemen had hammers, they wouldn't have used rocks. So, you know, I mean, going with the flow, I guess, you know, we deserve to be a little spoiled, but we do need to remember that everything that we got are things that other people don't have. I want to share this real quick. See, you put the going ahead and please, and I did it again. I didn't mean to do that, but I did it again. I've clicked on that link twice and I wanted to banner it. So, but please explain this banner one more time.
Of course, this website will directly take you to the Americans with Disabilities Act website, which is from the U.S. Department of Justice, and this will lay out all the basics of having a ADA compliant website, and that's staying up to date as we speak. I believe that will be a good source to let people know what are the differences between a WCAG compliant website and just getting the bare bones and the different titles of different organizations. As you know, Title I is to avoid discrimination against those who are differently abled. Title II is public serving establishments like schools, libraries, post offices. And 3 are small businesses and privately owned establishments, including nonprofits that own a building or landmark of some sort. But thank you for asking. I appreciate that. And
well, no problem. Thank you for sharing that. Hey, I wanted to share one more thing before we cut our hour to an end. And I'll tell you what scares the hell out of me most to all of you is that these hours are going by very, very quickly. And the thought of, oh my God, do we have to make this show longer has creeped into my head more than once. And all I can think of is, no, you just got to shut up more. So yeah, I don't see us making it any longer. The 22 is very important, but I want to share this with you because Combat Recovery Foundation has joined the Community Pay It Forward program. And what this means is if you scan that QR code, a list of organizations, a list of businesses like Mr. Z World Webs is going to show up on your phone or whatever you scan that with. If you do business with Mr. Z and you tell him, hey, I found you through Community Pay It Forward, and you do that by simply attaching your a photocopy, facsimile of your invoice that Z gives you, you just attach it to the QR code where it asks for it. Then you say, give us your name and you give us your email address. It gives you an option to say, you know what, I lost someone to suicide, so I want to dedicate this in their memory. It gives you the option to do that. Then you hit send. You don't have to spend any additional money. We're not asking you to round up to the nearest dollar. We're not asking you for any of that. Simply shop with great partners like Mr. Z. Get your website built. Z's going to give us $100. $80 is going to go to Marshall and Combat Recovery Foundation. That's as simple as this is. Okay? His referral that he gives us for you shopping with them is going to go to support missions and causes that you love. As a family, Z, you and I'm speaking for you here. I probably shouldn't do that. But Marshall, we welcome you and your team to the family as a mission partner. We're extremely glad to have you here. And we definitely want to invite everyone else to join our program. This is what we do. Look, we're just trying to make our shopping and your sales in this crazy business world, make your sales mean so much more. So, but I want to thank the 4 of you for joining us. I'd like to go around the room one last time And Tanya, we're going to start with you. What's the easiest way for people to get a hold of you?
So they can go to my website, smartvirtualsolution.com. If you want more information about the email thing, you can also reach out to smartsend.pro. There is a do-it-yourself option on there that is free, or there's a I can do it for you kind of option, or do it with you for $97. So smartsend.pro works as well. But all of my contact information is also with my company at Smart Virtual Solution, and that is just N. There is another person out there that is with an S. That's not me. .com.
Well, thank you very much. And the one for the $97, they give you the keys, you drive the car, wash the car, polish the car, and give it back to them and say, there.
There's two different options. There's the I do it for them. So yes, they give me all of the information and then I go and do it. Or there's a chat that we do, which is I get on a Zoom similar to this. We do it together. And then by the end of that hour, we should have it all fixed and ready for you. So you don't have to give me all your logins. We do it from your side of things.
Yeah, well, Tanya, guess what? On Tuesday, you're probably going to get my keys because I've got the big old kielbasa fingers and I crush my keyboard, so I don't need that to happen. But Mr. Z, how do people get a hold of you?
Well, I do want to start out by saying I love it when you speak on my behalf because it makes it sound like I'm doing something that's great for everyone. So hearing it from you, it's like hearing it from the President of the United States or Z World. If you'd like to get in touch with me, feel free to visit www.communitypayforward.us/ZWorldWebs or simply www.zwebguide.com if it helps.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you and everyone.
Coach Brian, how do they get a hold of you?
My name. So brianshamp.com, BrienShamp.com. And you'll see some different things we do. We work with people remotely now on reducing stress and creating balance through nutrition and lifestyle strategies and fitness strategies. We do a lot of functional wellness tests. So it's 2024. So we don't have to guess anymore about a lot of these things. We can test.
Yeah, and I've only got a second left to ask you this, Brian, but tell me this. How difficult was it to go from everything being in-house, doing this one-on-one thing to virtual when it comes to exercising and fitness coaching and stuff like that? How difficult was that transition? Because it's not like being on a computer where somebody can see the computer. It's a little hard to judge somebody's work effort, over a phone. It's like, ooh, I'm exercising.
So, I can just touch on that real quick here. But so I had 3 physical locations in the San Francisco Bay Area for fitness. We've always done nutrition, lifestyle coaching as well, but our main thing was fitness. And with COVID, we were shut down like most people. And thankfully, I'd already been doing nutrition, lifestyle coaching online. So I was already very familiar with Zoom and technology and so on. So I was thankful for that. But I decided that I wanted to go online right away as soon as the quarantine hit, because I was losing money by the second. People were canceling. People were putting their memberships on hold. So and I just know, I've been doing this for 34 years. I know that if there's any reason, someone will quit, their fitness program for any reason. They could have a hangnail and they'll stop working out. They'll stop eating well. Any slight discomfort, they will stop. So I went online right away, and I had about 900 members at the time in person, and a couple hundred people maybe went online. The rest said, hey, I'm not going to do this. But I've learned a lot along the way. I'm still doing virtual now. We still have a couple in-person locations, but I'll tell you, it's just a hell of a lot more convenient. I have access to my home, 2 other gyms. I get most of my workouts in my garage gym, but I also have a legitimate garage gym. I have variety. So I think if that's something you want to do, it needs to be a good environment, something you like, something you appreciate, something that you build upon over time. If you're going to do a workout like mine where it's live stream where I can talk to you just like this. So this is kind of how we do our workouts. I see angles. I feel like I can coach better, in fact, because I have a large screen where if you guys all had your videos on right now, hey, I'm actually a pretty good coach online. And yeah, the only thing I can't do is massage work and stretching with you or on you. But I think it's a very effective model, but I think you have to have your home setting, improved over time. So that's the fitness piece. But it's a lot easier. The nutrition lifestyle coaching stuff to talk to people about sleep, stress management, nutrition. We don't need to be in person.
Well, just start working on that. All I can think of is the whole Big Bang Theory. Just start thinking about doing the mind melt thing, and you can do the massage here eventually.
Well, right? Self massage, you can.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, you know what? On Monday this week, we had somebody teach us how to self hug.
Self hug?
Yeah, it was actually really intriguing. It really was. It was an interesting show. Yeah. So. Nice. I'm not sure if I'm going to allow somebody to walk in and see me hugging myself all the time, but yeah, who knows? So, Marshall, tell us how we get a hold of you before I go and embarrass myself any further.
You can find me at combatrecoveryfoundation.org. If you want to email me, add my first name to that. My cell phone is listed on my website. It's 303-909-9505. We provide peer support, coaching, and experiences for combat veterans. If you know a veteran who's struggling, would benefit from some one-on-one time, get me in front of them. Our participants don't pay a dime for what we do. We're all donor funded. If you want to support the cause of suicide prevention for veterans, you can find several ways of doing that on our website. We've got some cool shirts for sale. If you happen to be in the Northern Colorado area on March 23rd, we're going to be having a fundraiser at Max Line Brewery from 1 to 5, and it'd be great to see you there.
Well, that sounds great. And remind me about that, and we'll try to add that to our calendar. Again, thank the four of you for joining us. Again, another impactful hour. Look, we've done a lot of good in these first 12 hours. So, and I couldn't have done it without your help. And I thank you all. And I hope to talk to you all soon.
Thank you so much, Zach. You're doing great.
All right. And Z, are you going to stick with me another hour? Or are you going to take off, brother?
Yeah, why not? I could stick around.
You got it.
Thank you. Right. Doing great so far.
All right. Sounds good. Well, we're going to do our little bit of a thank you. And then we will be back in about 3 minutes and 45 seconds. So, gotta get up and stretch. So
or give yourself a hug.
But look, the thing is, I couldn't be doing this without your help. And we've got our next guests are starting to show up. And I look, we're been working for, like I said, we've done the 12 hours right now, and we've got a lot of great things that we've learned, and we've got some more great things to come. So stick around with us. And for everybody who's participated and helped us out, thank you. It means the world to me. And hopefully we're going to be raising a lot of money for organizations like Marshall's and like everybody else that you've met before. again, thank you to everyone who has participated. Thank you to everyone who has helped us. Well, we've got a long way to go. As you can see behind me, I've got a Yeti. It's a brand new Yeti, never been used. It's a $269 cooler. $269 for a cooler. To me, that's a little insane. It's a little insane. I'm not gonna joke. I'm not gonna lie. It's a little wackadoo. But you know what? Somebody does it. I know this because they've given it to us and allowed us to go on ahead and auction it off. So we need people to bid on it. Put your bid on that. Put your bid on Sean's books. We've got a reading. We've got skillets, and we've got a backpack that is all a tool bag backpack, which is really cool. We've also were gifted tickets to an upcoming grit game. That's the Northern Colorado Grit. The thing is that I know a lot of you guys are not in Northern Colorado. Here's the thing. If you're not in Northern Colorado and you cannot make it to the game, but you would like us to donate it in your name to someone, Boys and Girls Club, or maybe say go give it to a church or something, that's fine. Maybe you know some fat guy who's been podcasting for 22 hours that has this affinity for hockey. You know, you can give it to him too. I'm pretty sure he would take it. I'm positive he would take it and he would go to the game just because you asked him to. But anyway, you tell us where you want to donate those tickets if you want to make a bid on it. Remember, every time that you make a bid, every time, oh, Kyle, no. Oh, and Kyle, get this. Devils and Rangers tonight. So not only am I going through my dad having surgery right now, emergency surgery, my Devils play the Rangers, the hated Rangers. But that's okay because I get to hang out with all you guys, and that's even better. So, but go Jackets. Yeah. Go grow up, Jackets. Joking. Hockey talk. It's funny. This almost sounds like honky tonk. Huh. Pretty cool. So please make sure you sign into here, make a bid. There's minimum bids on certain things because it's going to take a little bit for us to mail them to you. The Yeti, it's a beautiful cooler, but let's be honest, it's going to cost a little bit for us to send it to you. But the thing is, we want you to get it, the backpack, everything else. So we're going to bring my brother from another mother back, Mr. Z, as our co-host again for this hour. And I'm also extremely thrilled to introduce Ryan Irish. Ryan, how are you doing, my friend? You're on mute.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
Doing good. How are you doing? Are you you've been going for like 12 hours now already, right?
Yep. We're in hour number 12. So
nice.
You know, I don't know exactly who I am, and I don't know who's wearing my pants, but you know, I mean, we're doing okay. So, but yeah, actually doing probably better than I should be. But look, the truth is that we've talked to a lot of people today who have made so many good points and made, you know, the topics that people are talking about. There's a lot of seriousness to it, but it's all simple stuff that we can do, that we can make a difference. Okay. You know, and our thing is that, look, we've given shell shock a more professional name, which is PTSD. And those of you who have been watching me for a while, you've heard this before, but I'm going to say it again. It's become PTSD. We've given a scientific name. It sounds official now. And we've got this misconception that, look, we treat our veterans better. The truth is that if we're treating our veterans better, why are the suicide numbers going up? Okay. We understand that now there are problems. We've got that down. But there's a disconnect in between somewhere between we understand there's a problem and we're working on fixing these problems.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to use my father, okay? And this, like I mentioned, was just rushed in for emergency surgery. This morning, we had to basically wheel him into a car. We probably should have called an ambulance, but somebody was on a podcast already. What could I do? I've already tried. I already had to do some of it from the phone. Nobody would have really wanted to see me with, the phone right here trying to talk like that. So it is what it is. But they sent him home in obvious pain, in obvious trouble, because his VA insurance, there was a problem with it. As soon as he gets home, they call him right back in because they got it fixed. Now they are screeching him into surgery to try to find out what the hell all the pain is about.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, tell me, have you had any experience with the VA, or have you had to do anything with the VA that you've had, maybe some difficulties with?
Yeah. I mean, the VA is not like a traditional healthcare system in the way that it operates. So if you're just going through regular healthcare and you need to see your primary care provider, it's relatively easy. You can schedule an appointment within like a week or two. Through the VA, it's not even like that whatsoever. If you want to see primary care, it's got to be scheduled like months in advance, and at one point I really needed to speak to a counselor, and I had to wait 6 months before it was that I was able to even speak to anybody. Granted, as I told the lady that scheduled it, I was like, well, thank goodness that I'm not suicidal right now, because 6 months is a long time. So I mean, and I know that they have like their emergency things that you can work with. Like you could have somebody to talk to, but if you're needing anything that's more consistent than just one phone call, it's you just got to operate it in a special way.
Yeah. We kind of skipped right into the discussion, and skipped over what you're doing, the wonderful program that you offer. And you and I have talked over the last couple of days, and you've come up with a way that's something very special for the veterans in our community. You want to kind of talk on that and introduce yourself, please?
Sure. I'll kind of work my way backwards a little bit.
That's fine.
So I do work for a mortgage company. I'm a loan advisor for Able Financial. And I've just noticed lately that a lot of these big name lenders, can't name them by name, but it's almost like they wave a flag in your face. Oh, I support, veterans, and, come and get a VA loan here. Some of the biggest names that you hear, they're doing huge disservice to veterans trying to get home loans. One